Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Power Over Food podcast. I hope you are well. I hope you're having a great week and life is treating you well. And I'm hoping by the time this podcast is released that the UK lockdown restrictions will be starting to lift, or at least we'll be moving forward in some way, but who knows? So just a reminder, if you are finding these podcasts valuable, please leave me a little review on iTunes or drop me a message on social media. And if this is the first time you've listened, then I strongly recommend that you go back to the start, listen from number one, as there is so much information in each episode to help you with your relationship with food. Now, today I'm excited to have another incredible lady with me, and this lady is co-founder at Whole Shift Wellness and author of Make the Shift. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show the wonderful Serena. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And how are you today?
Everything is great. Thanks for asking.
Good. Now, originally we were going to talk about plant-based nutrition, but having read your book over the past week, I've loads of questions. So if we get time, I might pick your brain on some other things, not only for my listeners, but also for myself. I think there's so much that we can learn from you and what you've talked about in your book. So plant-based nutrition, could you tell us, well, a little bit about your background and why plant-based nutrition has become so important to you, and a little bit about plant-based nutrition as well?
Yes, of course, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And just to give a brief introduction, myself and my husband are co-founders of a company called Whole Shift Wellness, which specializes in bespoke programs for time-pressed leaders. And we have been able to develop a proven methodology based on over 20 years of combined experience, transforming the well-being of over 500 professionals across 5 countries. And we feel very blessed to be able to do this, especially at this moment in time, given the global circumstances. Health and well-being is at the forefront of everyone's mind, hopefully, as it should be. And nutrition is really my field of expertise and a lifelong passion, which started at a very young age. And really, in truth, it started at a time when I wasn't happy with myself and with my body, and I was looking for ways to feel better about it and to improve my relationship with food. And I started just delving deep on the subject. And I did all the things that don't work until I could finally really discover and hone the things that do work and understand why. And through my own personal experience, I developed a wealth of information, which I found it was really of utmost importance to share with others in order to fast track their own journeys, so that they didn't have to go through everything I had to go through to understand and achieve real results. I must say that the plant-based side of things came into my life at a time when I had already achieved incredible things when it came to nutrition, and I was what I felt was my healthiest self, and I had developed the healthiest relationship with food I'd ever had. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, but I got this feeling, it wasn't quite rational, it was just a feeling in the back of my mind, which propelled me to want to try it. It was really just a wanting to try and see what it was all about. There wasn't very much more to it. I just got this intuition that called me towards giving this a go. And so I shared it with my husband. In truth, what was happening was that I was having very bad nightmares whenever I would eat meat just before bedtime. And I would wake up in the middle of the night with these very unpleasant feelings, physical feelings and emotional feelings. And it just somehow my body was sending me a message that animal products weren't agreeing with me any longer. And so I decided to try. I didn't know whether that was the actual link. It could have been something else. I don't know. But I told my husband about it. He was like, well, let's just try and go without and see what that does and how it feels for you. And that was the beginning of this new trial of a radically different way of eating. And interestingly, I've never looked back since. And only through trying and delving deep into it, and doing it the wrong way, by the way, for sure, the way we did it is not the way we coach people on how to do it. In fact, through doing it the wrong way, I actually learned a lot. And now we empower professionals to make the shift in a way that is actually way more healthy and sustainable than how we did it. But still, even though we didn't shift the right way, I still have not looked back since, because not only did my nightmares completely go away, I actually started achieving the greatest level of health, well-being, and mind-body confidence that I'd ever achieved in my life before, which I didn't even know was possible. I genuinely thought I was at the pinnacle of what was achievable and available to me. Whereas I started, my skin got better than it's ever been. My hair got shinier than it's ever been. I started resolving chronic issues that in my mind weren't even issues. They were just a part of life, but like digestive problems and regular constipation and bloatness and slight food intolerances, everything completely went away. I started losing weight that I didn't even know I needed to lose. I thought I was at my healthiest weight, but actually I started losing more fat without even trying very hard. My energy levels shot through the roof. And again, we're talking about somebody who was already healthy, and I was teaching yoga full time and coaching clients, and my husband is a professional fitness trainer. I was training at the gym. I had more energy than I had ever had available to me, mental clarity, and just a lightness of being that it was like I was walking on cloud 9 all day, every day. It was really profound, and it happened really quite quickly. And I want to reiterate once more, it happened even though I wasn't transitioning in a way that was necessarily the most effective or most functional one. We just threw ourselves in at the deep end. And I was sold. And then, only then did I start researching and really studying the science behind it and why this was happening to me and how it truly worked. And once I started looking at that, that was it. I was hooked for life, and I became so passionate about it that I decided to become a certified plant-based nutrition consultant, and to really hone in all my previous experience revolving around nutrition, and in particular the psychology of eating, which is a field that is very close to my heart, as well as everything that I was now learning from plant-based nutrition and what not to do, as well as what to do when making the transition. And that is now one of the fundamental pillars of our proven methodology to transform you into your most fit, healthy, and confident self.
Amazing. Well, you've sold it to me.
Well, I'll tell you, and just to clarify, by the way, plant-based, because there's a lot of, you asked me, what is plant-based nutrition? First of all, I feel compelled to clarify the difference between vegan diets and plant-based diets, because I think that's where things get a little bit mixed up, and this is one of the questions that comes to me most often. What's the difference between vegan and plant-based? So vegan simply means that you are avoiding all animal products. So you're not eating meat, fish, dairy, or anything that comes from an animal. And it really is more of a lifestyle. It means that you're avoiding animal byproducts in your day-to-day life as much as possible as well. However, there are a ton of vegan products out there. Thankfully, by the way, there's no demonizing any of that. But in this day and age, and this year more than ever, there is a ton of vegan foods out there which are not necessarily health foods. Pringles Originals are vegan. Oreos are vegan. there's a ton of other vegan junk food out there. There's vegan burgers, vegan fries, vegan cheese, vegan everything. And like I said, I love that. And I love that we have all of that available to us. But if your diet revolves predominantly around those kind of foods, then you might be faring better than somebody who's eating the same things, but the non-vegan version, but you're still not achieving your greatest potential when it comes to health and well-being, as well as weight loss. Plant-based, on the other hand, means that your diet revolves predominantly around whole plant-based foods. So it's kind of the more natural spin on a vegan diet. It means that you are actually mindful of processed foods, including processed vegan foods, and you are limiting the consumption of those in favor of real plants. So food that actually you can tell what it is and what it looks like, and that it's minimally processed for the most part. And so it's about finding a happy medium between the two. I eat vegan food probably no more than once a week. And really these days, because of the lockdown, my consumption of vegan food has fallen down to maybe once a month, if that, when it used to be once a week, that we would go out to a restaurant and I would have whatever the vegan option was. Whereas now we're mostly eating my own home cooked food at home. And it's all minimally, completely unprocessed. And I don't want to demonize anything, but I want to make people aware and conscious. And I think when you first lean in on the vegan kind of way of eating, it's good and great to have fun with the more processed stuff. But it's also really important to keep an eye on the price, and the price is health, longevity, and that comes from eating as natural a diet as it suits you today.
Absolutely. I mean, I use the term clean eating quite a lot with my clients, and I always say whichever avenue you're going to take, the biggest thing is to be avoiding all the processed food. If you know exactly where that food's come from, as you said, and you can see it and you've created it yourself, that is always going to be your best option. So can I ask for our listeners, what would a typical day's food look like in terms of, if there's someone listening thinking, well, what would I have for breakfast? And I think some of the meals are a little bit more obvious, but what would be a typical day's intake for you?
Well, the beauty of it is that when you first make the shift, what you can simply do, and what I encourage our shifters to do, is to simply create the vegan version or the plant-based version of some of their favorite meals. And the most common mistake I see people make when they want to embrace this new way of living is that they think that they have to rethink completely their entire nutrition, and they have to eat a radically different diet. In some cases, that might be necessary and advisable, but it's never really the most effective way to proceed. In my experience in coaching our shifters, what I find is more effective is to take your favorites and transition them into the vegan or plant-based version of. And if you think in those terms, there's hardly any foods that you can't make a vegan version or plant-based version of. For breakfast, you could have toast with peanut butter and strawberry spread. If you're already having something along those lines, instead of having butter on the toast, you just put a vegan spread on it, or you do a peanut butter and fruit spread instead of it being, I don't know, butter and whatever else you would put on it. You could have porridge, and instead of cooking it with regular milk, you could choose a plant-based milk, and you could top it with fruits. You could top it with seeds. Oatmeal is probably the healthiest breakfast in the world if you make it plant-based. If you like things such as scrambled eggs, you could experiment with scrambled tofu, which is one of those things that people are always very skeptical about. It's a bit of a hit or miss ingredient, but the truth is, if you know how to prepare it, it's actually really rather brilliant. But if that's too far out there for you, you could actually just saute a bunch of veggies, mushrooms, onions, tomatoes, and have those on toast as your breakfast, or beans. Beans on toast is a very easy and very, very filling plant-based breakfast that you can, a vegan breakfast if it's baked beans. For lunch, if you are one of those people who like to have just a sandwich, something that you can have on the go, you can easily make an avocado, tomato, and lettuce wrap or sandwich with maybe some brown rice as well for extra filling. Very, very easy. And in fact, you can even buy them ready-made. Most places now have a vegan version of their staple sandwiches out there. You're not going to miss out on nutrition. You're not going to miss out on taste. I can guarantee you that. And you're not going to miss out on nutrients. I think one of the greatest obstacles that gets in the way is people thinking that there's something missing if there isn't meat, where actually there really truly isn't. For dinner, family favorites, pasta with marinara sauce. You can't go wrong with pasta. It's a crowd pleaser. Or you can do a veggie stir fry with noodles. You could do a bean chili and have it on top of a baked potato, or having with some brown rice with a side of salad. There are so many foods out there which are already 50 to 90% plant-based, whereby just by switching out a couple of ingredients, before you know it, you didn't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make small changes and you got yourself a vegan dinner or lunch, or a plant-based dinner or lunch.
Fantastic. What I really like is what you said about it's not about completely changing everything. It's like, well, what do I enjoy for breakfast? Let's just make it slightly different, and it can be plant-based and it can fit that criteria. So, because I do think that's what a lot of people, they embark on lifestyle changes or weight loss journeys, and they think, right, I've got to do it like this, and they make all of these huge changes that are not sustainable because it's just too 100%. Much all at once, whereas small changes can lead to big results, as we know. So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. The other thing that stood out for me in your book and that I wanted to ask you about is why it's important to build muscle and have that strength. And I know that for me, certainly I've started running more recently, and I'm doing workouts at home because we're in lockdown. But I noticed that your book talked about the importance of building that muscle for our health. Could you just talk about that for us?
Sure. It's a really important topic. So first of all, I invite everybody to really think of their optimal level of health, well-being, and mind-body confidence as a tripod, which is a structure with 3 legs, right? There are 3 legs to this tripod. Atop the tripod is your best self, your fittest, your healthiest, your most confident self. Now, what happens to a tripod when even just one of the 3 legs is even just a little bit weaker than the others? That structure is constantly wobbling, is never really staying up strong, is constantly shaking, or it actually falls down at times. So in our experience, we've been able to identify the 3 fundamental pillars of health and well-being, the 3 legs of the tripod, right? And these are focus, food, and fitness. I'm not going to delve too deep into it. It's all in my book, which is available on Amazon, Make the Shift. So anybody that wants to understand these a little bit in more detail, if you get the book like you did, it's everything is in there, our entire proven methodology. Now, within each of these 3 pillars, the focus pillar, the food pillar, the fitness pillar, there's another tripod. So it's a little bit like a house of cards. There's the 3 pillars of focus, there's the 3 pillars of food, and there's the 3 pillars of fitness. If you are neglecting any of these, the whole structure is weaker. And this is what we talk about when we say holistic health and well-being. You're not just only looking at one tiny detail and going so hard on it that you lose sight of everything else. You're actually always constantly taking a step back and looking at the whole structure as a whole and making sure that all the fundamentals are very well taken care of. So then, to answer your question, the 3 pillars of fitness are strength, flexibility, and cardio. My husband has been a personal trainer for 25 years. He has transformed so many professionals in ways that went far beyond their expectations. And in doing so, he has clearly identified that the ideal fitness routine has to tackle these 3 pillars: strength, flexibility, and cardio. And that for as long as you neglect even just one of them, you're not gonna feel your best self. It's not gonna be sustainable, and it's not gonna be holistic. And so if you're only going to the gym, like you see some guys pumping huge amounts of iron, building themselves to the point that you look at them and you think, oh gosh, you must be very healthy. Actually, they can't run for the bus without feeling like they're going to get a heart attack, or they can't scratch their own back. They're still not functional. The same goes if you just run all the time. All you do is running, but you're never stretching, you're never lifting weights. So actually, you might be lean, but you might still experience injuries. Your knees might be giving out, So it's really important to create a routine and a regimen which allows you to tackle all the 3 pillars in a systematic way, in an effective way, and in a way that works for you, depending on your age, on your goals, on your predispositions, and your preference. Building muscle is fundamental, and it's something that we can't shy away from. It's very important to everybody, especially as we grow older, because we start losing muscle mass through the process of aging. And so it's very important to actually have a routine that allows us to maintain that muscle density. More muscles mean a faster metabolism. More muscle mean better posture. More muscle mean less risk of injury. They also help keep your bones safe. And we know that one of the other side effects of aging is the risk of fractures, especially in women, as we go through, menopause later on in our years. And so if you are stronger and if you have a strong and well taken care of muscle mass, you're going to prevent a whole bunch of side effects. And sadly, actually, falling and fractures are one of the greatest risks for the elderly. And all of that can be completely prevented through creating a well-balanced fitness routine. And by the way, I just want to clarify, you don't have to go to the gym.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because when I read that in your book, I was like, oh, I like the sound of that, because, well, one, we can't go to the gym at the moment, but I do think a lot of people that have suffered with their weight, the gym is very, very daunting for them. So to be able to build muscle in your own front room is a lot more appealing. So.
Absolutely. And it's possible these days more than ever before, really. We have so much out there. You're going to find something that really speaks to you and that you really enjoy and that really works for you and that you can keep up in a very consistent way. And you've got to make sure that the source is right and that they know what they're doing, that they're not putting you at arm's way. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of very extreme ways of approaching muscle building, and not all of them are actually healthy. So for us, in our methodology and our approach, health is at the center of everything that we do. So if you want to achieve weight loss, health needs to be the fundamental goal, and weight loss has to happen as a result of becoming healthier. And the same goes with building muscle and becoming stronger. But once you've established the right way and the way that works for you, it really doesn't take much. You don't even have to do it every day, and you don't have to. I work with 1.5 kilo dumbbells, and I am in the best shape of my life. You really don't need any more than a set of light dumbbells and a good source of healthy, well-balanced routines.
And how often do you do those routines? How often do you use your dumbbells?
I work out every single day. I'm not going to lie to you. I only take Sunday off. So, but I do this for a living. It's an extension of who I am. I take my fitness more seriously than anybody probably needs to, in order to achieve a balance that works for them. I'm quite on top of it, and it's one of my fundamental pillars in my life. But then again, I do this for a living, so to me, in some ways, it's an extension of my job. Just because I do that, and I do 60 to 90 minutes every single day, but I don't think that that's what anybody needs to aspire to. I think if you're just getting started and you've never done anything like that, or you've never worked with dumbbells at all, even just once or twice a week to begin with, and you really don't need to do more than 15-20 minutes to begin with. Start very small and start very gradual, so that whatever you're doing is really sustainable and it's not pushing you too far out there. And then who knows where you might get to.
Yeah, I think it can become, again, back to that starting small, but if you do something and you're enjoying it, then you're more inclined to do it a little bit more often, and then it becomes a bit more of a routine, and then you see the results. So that spurs you on, and then it becomes a 4 or 5 times a week habit, rather than starting with, I've got to do this every day, and hating it, because we all know if we're not enjoying something, then we're really not going to carry on doing it. No,
not for long enough that the long enough that it takes to start seeing the results that will motivate you, and for it to become second nature.
Yes,
that's the whole point.
Absolutely. I also loved your 5 M's that are in your book. I don't know if you want to, even if you just share that what the 5 M's are, just to inspire people. If they want to know more, they can grab a copy of the book. What are your 5 M's?
Yes, absolutely. So the 5 M's, like I said, we have these 3 pillars, right? The 3 F's: focus, food, and fitness. But then we have these 5 proven steps which you apply to the 3 pillars in a very systematic, gradual, and effective way. And once you get to the point where you've reached what we call your new normal, you then assess and you're like, okay, so this is the results that I've achieved by applying the 5 M's to the 3 F's, to the 3 pillars. Am I happy with it? Should I just maintain it? Or do I want to rev it up and take things to the next level still? And if you do, then you go back to the 5 M's and you reapply them to all the 3 pillars, and so on and so forth. So just to give you an overview of what the 5 M's is, you got to move gradually, So you got to just take a little step, one at a time, without taking a step that's longer than your leg, as we say in Italian. We have this saying, never take a step that's longer than your leg, because then you're going to fall down. You got to motivate yourself. And motivation is not a gift. It's a trained skill. It's something that you work on every single day. You have to have a routine, a strategy, which builds it up when it needs to, or maintains it when it needs to. And it needs to be daily. It doesn't happen on its own. You gotta manage your thoughts. Fundamental importance. Your mind needs as much, if not more, training than your body. If you're not training your mind as you go through the process, you could have the best diet in the world, the best routine, the best fitness routine. I could deliver to you a service that is worth £10,000, and you will self-sabotage yourself constantly and continuously. So manage your thoughts. You gotta monitor your progress. Very important. You have to stay present, and again, make it a daily habit to acknowledge your wins. See where you're at every single day. And again, these things don't happen on their own. If you don't make it a systemic and systematic habit to monitor your progress, your mind is always going to forever focus on what still needs to be achieved rather than what you've already achieved. And let us remember, progress is your greatest motivation. You will be way more motivated to continue going and to do even better when you feel that you're doing well, rather than when you feel that you're failing. If you feel that you're failing, you're going to give up. And then you're going to make plans. If you're not planning to succeed, you're planning to fail. Really, you want to leave as little as possible to faith. You got to be very systematic and strategic. You got to set yourself up for success. People think that they have this idea that there's anyone out there who is naturally in the best shape of their life, and that you're naturally radiant and that you are naturally happy and joyful. No, let me tell you, they have strategies, they have routines, they make serious plans, and those plans serve them and allow them to be the most fit, healthy, confident, happy, and joyous selves. They have done it so much, and they are so well rehearsed that it feels natural to them. My routine feels natural to me. It doesn't feel like I don't have to put too much work into it, but it's taken a lot of planning to get it to the point where it's second nature.
Thank you.
I've given you a lot of information all at once.
I'm like, whoa. No, that's great. Thank you so much. There is, as you say, so much to take in. So hopefully our listeners can really reflect on whether plant-based nutrition is for them, whether they do need to look at their strength. I know that is definitely something I need to work on. Obviously, if they want to know more about your work, they can pop along to wholeshiftwellness.com or find you on social at Whole Shift Wellness. I know that I'm following you on Instagram, so they can always find you via my account. And if they can't find you, they can message me and I will point them in the right direction. Thank you so much for chatting to me. It's been an absolute pleasure and I really appreciate your time. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
That's it for today for our listeners. Don't forget to reach out. As I said at the start, I always love hearing from you. It really inspires me to know that you are making changes and benefiting from these podcasts, from my thoughts and from everything that our guests are sharing with you. If you are not already connected with me via social, please do find me. You can join my Power Over Food Mastermind group on Facebook and follow closely because I'm launching my Power Over Food course, which I'm trialing with a group of people. So if that course is of interest to you, please keep your eyes and ears open for more information. And finally, there are thousands of people out there that are struggling with their weight, with their relationship with food. And I would love it if you can share this podcast with them, and let's help as many people as possible to really develop that relationship with food and become the best version of themselves. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day and I will see you in the next episode.